running around. We'll go ahead with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome everyone on this special ICSD team. What is it, Dr. Brown? Team
ICSD Day.
And what could be more appropriate than to have a school board meeting on Team ICSD Day? And I have my Hogwarts tie on, or whatever that is. And but wearing the colors today because I am a IHS grad and glad to be so. But again, sorry, we do have stuff. Do we have any amendments, adjustments?
No changes.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
2 meetings in a row.
There you go. That's there we go. And since we do not have that, modifications and public comment period, we do have one person that signed up, and others can speak if they wish. And Matt from the Ithaca Journal, do you wish to speak? The press gets to speak at a school board meeting, but you signed up, so how are you, Matt?
Doing all right. How are you guys doing?
Good, good. There's actually a local Ithaca Journal reporter at a school board meeting. That's very good to see you.
Well, my question set pertains to the universal pre-K appropriation, or well, the funds from the state that you're receiving that you'll be appropriating. So I think you'll be discussing that though later in the meeting. So
It's in the consent agenda, so we typically wouldn't discuss it. So if you've got a question,
Feel free.
Okay.
now would be the time to
Yeah.
ask.
So how will this money be used?
Well, it's funding our pre-K classrooms.
Brad, do you want to go ahead and engage now, Brad? I guess you're here, Matt, so go ahead and and Amanda's here, and
It funds the pre-K classrooms.
Okay, and could you? How many children in the area, in the district, are not attending?
Are not attending
Yeah.
pre-K? Oh, I'm not sure how I would know that number. I know how many are.
we have paid administrative personnel that could perhaps answer that
How
question.
many?
Yeah, Caitlin.
Our pre-K is what, about 195 children, something like that?
I think it's a little less than that.
A little less than
I
that.
think it's like 170.
Okay. I mean, and how many are not attending? We don't count them. I mean, we're probably not going to know the size of that age cohort until they show up at kindergarten. I mean, is that the right answer? I mean,
We can host a meeting anytime to talk about the pre-K piece.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're happy to sit down and talk.
yeah, we actually have
pre-K
some of
in
those
general.
statistics that we've been gathering about that as well.
Yeah, I would appreciate to find out if you could tell me any sort of research or studies saying how pre-K helps out students as well.
That'd be
Okay,
fantastic.
We'll get our cards. We're gonna get our cards.
We'll get cards, we'll sit down with you in the next couple of days and go over some of that. How would that be?
Okay, sounds
All right,
good.
That'd be great. Good.
Any other members of the press wish to speak? No, I'm sorry. Anyone else from the public wish to speak right now? If not, we'll move on and hear from the student reps, and we'll start with LACS since you're lonely over here.
All right. So, firstly, you may have noticed I am again alone here. My compatriot from ACS is currently directing Pericles. It's one of Shakespeare's less known plays, but it's good, and it's Friday and Saturday at 7 and Sunday at 2. If you want to come. Beyond that, we had an interesting discussion about our graduation essentials in a quarter school meeting. It's like our all school meetings, but instead in 4 parts. We of course enjoyed having a 3-day weekend. Who doesn't? Our first cycle just ended at ACS, which means a lot of writing of evaluations. how we think we did, how our teachers think we did. Let's hope they match up. We just had the LACS pasta dinner. Used to be spaghetti dinner, being inclusive of all types of pasta though. It was rather successful. We got a good amount of people. There was pasta eaten. What else would happen? And senior teams, which are, in order to graduate, seniors are involved in a team project where we attempt to better the school in some way, work towards engagement, community, etc. Yeah. That's it from ACS.
Thanks, Peter. Edgar?
Well, to start you off, we'll go back 2 weeks, November 4th and 5th, Friday and Saturday. Our Ithaca Model United Nations team went to Hilton High School in Rochester to compete in the annual Hilton Model United Nations. Did very well, lots of diplomacy, lots of history, lots of fun stuff. And for the second year in a row, we took back the Outstanding Small Delegation, which was the highest award that our club could receive, as we qualified as a small school, only having, I believe, 23 people entered. So thanks to the advisors, I'm sure we're all very proud of the club, and it was a great time as someone who went. And then we also had after school today, our first student council bake sale of the year. Student council gave out a lot of money to a lot of great clubs and causes last year, and they got to start replenishing the coffers so they can do that again this year. So we had the bake sale, a lot of good baked goods, had some excellent coffee cake, all around $1. I'm sure there will be more in the future, and we'll keep you updated so you can all come and support student council. Additionally, Anything Goes, our, I believe, spring school musical has begun its casting callbacks for the various actors within our school. So there's sort of a interesting murmur about the school and excitement about anticipated parts and music. And we'll hopefully keep you updated with that. I believe rehearsals begin sometime in January, but Cole Porter Classic, it should be a good time.
Definitely. And in the realm of sports, we started off strong last week with the beginning of our winter sports season. Specifically, I'm on the swim team, and we had nearly almost twice as many people as we did as last year. So we have a strong participation in sports this winter. Additionally, Dr. Hannah had a wonderful presentation this Sunday, including information such as the new academic support available to athletes, which I'm sure will be tremendously helpful in the future. Information about injuries and overall what the responsibilities of athletes here at IHS, how we demonstrate to the district that we're comprehensive and represent our school in an efficient way. And additionally, we have the girls swimming. They won their sectional meet, upsetting the previous champion, Horseheads, since the last time we met. It was a fantastic meet, and they were commended previously at the commencement ceremony, but they will be heading off to states here at IC on Friday, and I'll recommend that you go. It should be a very exciting meet. And finally, we had another round of early decision deadlines. So I think on behalf of the seniors at IHS, we are extremely grateful to the counselors and the teachers who have helped us through this college application process.
After the election on Tuesday, there were a lot of mixed reactions by the students. Some tears were shed, but there were also some students that were happy with the results. Controversially, some students planned a walkout in protest of the results, which was postponed until later for a variety of reasons. Google Chat was also unblocked on school computers, and students are generally happy about that, and they think that it's going to help them be more productive and do better work on group projects when they can't actually meet face-to-face. In other news, the IHS dev team went to a competition in Philadelphia at the University of Pennsylvania for the P Classic programming competition and had a relatively good showing. The senior class also ran a handball tournament last weekend to raise money for the senior class for both senior prom and for the senior class trip.
In Brain Team news, Brain Team recently traveled to Connecticut to compete at Yale in a high school quiz bowl tournament, and they were able to win first place, which is great news. And also, this Thursday night, Brain Team is hosting its annual Fall Trivia Night fundraiser. Everyone is invited for a night of food and fun. Tickets are $10 at the door, and this will be for the trivia night admission and for dinner. And we encourage board members to come out and compete. And also, Brain Team will be hosting a competition of 32 teams at the high school this Saturday. And in the spirit of collaboration with Team ICSD Day, the International Club is partnering to provide lunch for this event. Also, in Link Crew news, very recently, Wednesday of last week actually, Link Crew had another successful blood drive. 22 people signed up to donate, and 60 lives were saved with the blood that was donated. And also, the day before Thanksgiving break, which is November 22nd, Link Crew will be hosting an event exclusively for freshmen. In the morning from 8:15 to 8:45, we'll be offering baked food, baked goods and beverages to celebrate the end of the first quarter and Thanksgiving break. And Link Crew will be holding its annual food drive, taking place from November 28th to December 28th. Donation boxes will be set up around the school, the main office, H courtyard, all those key places, and students will be encouraged to bring in canned foods to bring about a positive change in our community just in time for the holidays. And this has always been a successful event in the past, and we're sure it's going to be a repeat this year. That's all we have for you tonight.
Great, thanks, Ithaca High. Board responses? Ann?
Yeah, just we'll pick up on the pre-K issue, just if you want to talk about that, I just want to say that we've been doing a lot of work on that issue. With both board, with the, doing the pre-K liaison with the board, so Caitlin Brom is the person, the staff member that kind of has a lot of that data, but just to follow up, it's something that I'm very interested in talking about, and also the funding piece is something we've been working on as well.
Good work.
Did I miss it, Max? Did you name what the musical is, the spring musical?
Anything
goes.
Yes.
It's all.
I know it well. I'm a Cole Porter fan.
It's great music. You can't go wrong every once in a while having something that perhaps we have heard before. So it's all great. Brad, did you?
Yeah, Brad just wants to say, wow. I mean, did you listen? We hear this list every time, but did you hear the list of all the different things going on? I mean, engagements, engage is that first word, and boy, I think I heard it tonight over and over again, and I hope folks at home heard how engaged our students are and what they're doing, and of course, that takes faculty and staff behind them as well, but I hope everybody heard that. We sit here and hear it every time, but pretty impressive list, whether it was Shakespeare or Model UN or whatever it was, a lot going on, and telling me that hundreds of young people are engaged.
And just to follow that, I mean, we saw it tonight as well at our commendation ceremony tonight. Got tired of shaking hands, basically, and worn out. Just the sheer amount of members of teams. We're just going to be more members of teams on the athletic side, but certainly music. Just 19, 21, just kids making all-state band or all-region, or really, as Brad, it's. What was that percentage, Brad, today?
The one award.
It was all states.
All-state.
Middle school.
New York State School
The middle school
band
level.
directors, all state.
You know, we had, what, 17 or 18% of all of those honored in the state
Correct.
were students in this district.
From Boynton into DeWitt.
Yeah.
And there are, right.
Yeah.
That's
Well, there's 600 and some districts.
right, exactly. So it's really is outstanding job by the staff, by the leaders of the various buildings, all the buildings, and so it's nice at the commendation ceremony where I'm able to thank staff in that ceremony as well. Denise Agati probably is not here, but really we sung her praises over and over again regarding the food service program in Ithaca and what she's been able to do when other districts have basically thrown up their hands and said, well, we just can't do this. And we can't meet the requirements. We can't create a menu of food that the kids will buy or the kids will want. Denise and her staff and her team have done a great job. And Denise, what it was what award did she win?
Golden Karen Award.
And that's given by.
National award, yeah.
Right, and that's a national award. So really leaders statewide, up and down in their district. So it's we as a board certainly are very grateful for the work of everyone and very proud on this day to recognize their efforts and the kids' efforts and what you do every day. And any other comments as I turn the page to the.
I'll move the consent agenda as presented.
Second that.
Any comments, questions of the group? If not, all in favor? It's multiple pages. That's everyone correct? Ann, right? You're good?
Yep.
And we are 7 tonight, so we have 2 absentees. And Dr. Brown, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I'm right there.
Yep, you were right here. I'm not going to mention how you're. Yeah, it's a thing between Jennifer and me.
Thank you, Ms. Daniels, for this opportunity. And I'm going to focus my time tonight on sharing about Team ICSD Day. But before that, a quick plug for folks who are watching at home and folks in the room. Don't tune out after my speech or whatever I say, because I'm telling you, I have the opportunity not only to serve as superintendent, which is a true honor, but to also be a parent in this school district. And I'm here to tell you that the folks in the room tonight are some of the best educators I've ever seen, both professionally and personally now. And you're going to hear from them about some of the outstanding work happening in our school building. So the folks I'm seeing to my right, I can't wait to hear from them myself. And anyone watching tonight, please stay tuned for this conversation. But with that, Team ICSD Day was outstanding. And to give some background about what this day was, we left it kind of open-ended. We just wanted a day to celebrate all that is good about our community and our schools. And we wanted folks to express their love and their experiences with the school district, here and far away. And if you go to our Facebook presence or you follow the hashtag, which was trending for a while, Team ICSD, you'll see, and this is just on our website, you'll see dozens and dozens of examples of how our school district is engaging, educating, and empowering young people and adults. Tweet after tweet, Facebook post after Facebook post, it goes on and on all day. Oh, that's a good one, look at that. But they go on and on. We've captured some video. We're going to spend some time over the next week or so putting this into a cool package, but tonight I have some things to share with you. One of the coolest things that happened today, we visited BJM, myself and Savante. And I believe this is the video. Let me make sure. Yeah, this is the video. The mayor proclaimed this day a special day, and I'll read some of this, but show you some of the video as well if it plays. This is
because I want to do something that only mayors can do. And that is issue something called a proclamation. Whenever I say whereas, can you say because? Okay, so let's try this. Whereas. Whereas, the culture of the Ithaca City School District is patient, kind, trusting, unselfish, truthful, forgiving, and dedicated. And whereas, memories and messages about how the Ithaca City School District has positively impacted lives will be shared. And whereas, the Ithaca City School District has experienced unprecedented levels of student academic achievement. And whereas, the Ithaca City School District has significantly closed or eliminated achievement gaps and has been recognized as one of the United States' top 300 schools for music education. And whereas, so good. The Ithaca City School District is the 2016 New York State Music Association Presidential Citation Award winner. And whereas, the Ithaca City School District has an extraordinarily high percentage of students participating in athletic programs. And whereas, the Ithaca City School District, the Ithaca High School is ranked U.S. News in the top 2.5% of high schools in the nation. And whereas, the Ithaca City School District is on the College Board AP Honor Roll for increasing the diversity and achievement in advanced level courses. And whereas, the Ithaca City School District is the home of the 2017 New York State Superintendent of the Year, Dr. Lavelle Brown. Woo, yes! Whole state, it's a big state. And whereas this proclamation is an opportunity for the City of Ithaca to not only demonstrate support for the Ithaca City School District, but to call upon all residents to wear a cardinal. Whereas the City of Ithaca celebrates with the students, families, and partners of the school district throughout the world. Now therefore I tricked you. Now therefore I, Savante Myrick, Mayor of the City of Ithaca, do hereby proclaim today, November 15th, as Team ICSD Day. Thank you all so much. Congratulations.
That was this morning. And throughout the day, we're giving out awards for the largest group, and there were some large groups you'll see on Twitter. The best video, the best poem, etc. And so it's been fun all day. But I do want to show you one video that is pretty special. It was done by the folks at Ithaca High School, and I'm going to just say it now. This is the first award we're going to announce. This is the best video of the day.
One more question. What is team? 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 What is Team ICSD?
Team ICSD means to me students, and being part of their lives and their experiences here at Ithaca High School in all ways. As welcoming them every day to come down towards my room, singing with them in the hallways, and yelling at them also. So.
Say a giant community filled with like ICSD members, not just like students, but like staff, teachers, like all the kids that go, like even from like pre-K to 12th grade, like all of them just come together like as a unified community.
I think it means like the collaboration of like clubs and the school and clubs working with the district and trying to collaborate.
Team ICSD means, everyone in the city school district, we're all one giant community, we're all pushing each other to succeed, reach our goals, whether they be academic, athletic, anything, just push yourself to do your best.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's why the students and also
Just means a good educational background. It means that your teachers will always be there for you, and your classmates will always try to help you improve.
Team ICSD means to me community, family, students, and the staff at IHS. Means that we're all working towards the same thing.
I respect the teachers. They give me education. My friends.
What is Team ICSD?
That's cool. So, listen, they said it best, so it's been a cool day. And for the first time we've done this, and to pretty much give no guidance about how it should work, I thought our community did an outstanding job. So I'm expecting it to be even bigger next year. And with that, I think I'm done. Let's do questions about today. Thoughts or reactions to it.
Anyone? We can obviously keep moving, but great videos, Dr. Brown. Thank you.
Cool.
And we're going to go from that outstanding topic into energy performance contract. It's
So I want to
not to put you on the spot or anything. You don't have to be that entertaining. But actually, the EPC, the Energy Performance Contract, has allowed us to do a lot of work in the district, and this is an opportunity just to give folks an idea. And we're not going to spend a lot of time, but what has gone on? What did we fix? And what do we have left to fix?
Great. Thank you, Rob. And
There
I'm
you
going to introduce Tom Nicholson, an executive from Train Engineering, and like you said, he's going to explain exactly where we've come, how we started, and many of the things you won't see in the EPC, but other things you might, like our new pool area, where you will see and feel the changes that our energy performance contract has brought to ICSD. So, Tom, thank you.
Thank you.
come back and follow. Congratulations, Dr.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Turn of the year, that's awesome.
It's been a happy time.
But Tom, you're a school board member, and you were a school board member. You've been through this, and so, but you've always appreciated what we've tried to do here, and so we appreciate that, and we appreciate you understanding what we all go through, and so feel free.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for what you do. I know that I did, as you suggested, serve 3 terms on a school board, and it's a big job, it's an important job, it's a rewarding job, but it's a volunteer thing, and it takes a lot of your time, so you probably don't get thanked very much, but it's a great thing to do. So with that, I just want to give an update. We, as was said, I'm the account executive, the project executive overseeing the Energy Performance Contracting Program, affectionately known as the EPC. And energy performance contracting, for those who may not have been on the board when we started this project a few years ago, is a program that's allowed by the state whereby improvements can be made to facilities that pay for themselves through existing budget. So the way that occurs is more energy efficient equipment is installed, controlled, technologies are employed that will reduce energy cost and maintenance cost in a budget neutral fashion. So these projects are not voted upon as separate capital projects, but they're treated the same as any capital project, such that they draw building aid revenues in addition to the revenues they generate from energy savings. So they're not only budget neutral, they are budget neutral before building aid. After building aid comes back as a revenue to the district, they're actually cash positive. And in this case, this energy performance contract is going to generate over $5 million of positive cash flow revenue for the district over its term. And that would be just based on energy, utility, and maintenance cost savings. There may be other revenues to the district for incentives that would come from the utility company. Some offers have been made, and we're in the process of securing those funds for the district. As you know, we have a project team that lives here at the district. We have an office set up. We have a project manager, project superintendent, and then several other subcontractors and staff employees that come and go over time. I've provided a spreadsheet. It's an overview of the entire project. So last night, our project manager, Larry Grace, was here and provided a more detailed update to the Facilities and Finance Committee. We probably, unless you have questions, won't get into that level of detail. But if you look across the top of the spreadsheet that I provided, you'll see the different energy conservation measures or facilities improvements that are being made. And then there's a checkbox. If you follow down the column, you can see if those apply to a particular school building. There are improvements being made to each of the buildings. Those improvements would be pretty much anything that's pipes and wires kind of stuff, things that transport energy around the facilities. So we're looking at lighting is a big deal, a lot of LED lighting inside and outside the campus. There were boilers that were replaced, high-efficiency boilers that were installed in 3 of the facilities. Windows are being replaced, a lot of building envelope work, so insulation, spray foam insulation, ceiling, caulking, windows, doors, that sort of thing. Pumping systems where you have large motors and you pump water, chill water, hot water around the facilities have been modified to be more energy efficient. And one of the things that we did, which was a conservation item, but not necessarily energy proper, is we addressed some issues that you had in bathrooms. One of the things that came up with the board and with some students from the high school a few years back was that there was lack of privacy in some of the lavatories. There were stalls and things that were broken and dismantled and needed repair. There were out of service bathrooms. So we addressed a number of those issues while we were doing work to perform upgrades on domestic hot water systems. We just carried it a step further, and we were able to pull through with the project and pay with savings to make some of those other improvements. So we addressed some of those concerns, which were, I know, a big deal to the board and to the staff and students of the district.
Building controls are a big item. They're the controls that make everything work together as a system. So the things that control the temperature and the humidity, those kinds of things. One of the areas that we feel that we had a great deal of impact with is the pool area, both in terms of the new lighting that exists there and the overall environment, just to better control of the ventilation, the temperature, and the humidity in that environment. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover, unless you have questions. And I would just say that we expect to be about 90% complete with the entire project by the end of the school year. However, there's some items that are going to carry maybe another 6 months beyond, because we've got some long lead times for some windows that are being manufactured. I want to say, I think that those are at Bell Sherman and Bell Sherman Annex, those windows that we're waiting on.
You're still working on lighting in some of the buildings, you're doing nighttime work, well, second shift work, right, throughout the district, and
That's correct.
that's ongoing right now, so.
And the lighting is really just beginning. There were some delays with the state and getting this project started. They had a lack of resources during the review time, so we didn't get started as soon as we wanted to, which has forced us to have to do work on a B shift. So when the students leave, we have crews that come in and they are working around the district in select buildings, and we're trying to kind of pick them off strategically.
Right, so folks are, if you're picking up a student after a theater practice or band practice, later, there are people in the buildings, and they're approved to be there, they're supervised, so there's a method to it all, and that's how we're going to be able to get it done. There are lighting upgrades in every building in the district, and there is certainly building envelope improvements to every building in the district. Some of the other buildings at the high school has more work than any other, basically. I think it needed it. Jamie, you're in the pool. And you were in the pool before, so.
Yeah, so I've been swimming in the pool this is my 4th year in the IHS pool, and I've noticed a phenomenal difference between what I've previously swum in and this new year. When I walked in, you can generally feel like kind of a cloud of humidity and heat as you walk in, which is no longer there. They have a new ventilation, red tube sock on the ceiling, which carries a lot of the chemically rich air out of the pool facility, and so whereas we actually had a very limited ventilation system, we now have, it's a lot easier to breathe, and all the swimmers have noticed it. It's been a fantastic upgrade.
I noticed, we also installed a pool cover. Has that been?
Yeah, we've had troubles with heating in the past. The pool's gotten cold during the winter, and the cover system is fantastic. I know that it's an innovative application, but I've yet to see whether, like during the colder months, to see if how much. I'm sure it will save a lot of energy in terms of boiler costs.
Yeah,
So I will look to Ithaca High yet again. We heard many times from many different groups of students, and we, as part of the 2007 building referendum, the renovations in the building, bathrooms and the pool and a few other things just weren't a part of that package. So we have been trying to figure out for quite a while how to get that fixed. So how are the bathrooms at Ithaca? Are they done, Tom?
I think, it's important to understand, these weren't total bathroom renovations. This was just a laundry list of repairs that were done, and some out of service china toilets and sinks were put back into service, replaced. And the partitions, I think, were the big thing. There was some concerns about student privacy and that kind of thing. So is that?
So how are the bathrooms at Ithaca High School?
Well, I mean, I definitely noticed that there were some places, like in the boys' locker room, the toilets had like no stall doors whatsoever, which would be really awkward if you're trying to go to the bathroom. They made eye contact, somebody changing. Anyway, yeah, it's good that they now have stall doors in a lot of the bathrooms that previously didn't. So that is a huge improvement.
I think also boys' locker room, especially, they replaced the taps or the faucet head, so like you can actually wash your hands now.
Yeah.
And like in a way that without a leaking faucet. And it's just better. So some of the best in that respect are.
Faucets at work is a good thing, Max, so, we're going for anything we can get here, so.
There were some other, there were
Yeah.
some floor tile replacements, some
Sure.
plumbing work and that kind of thing.
Go ahead, Dave.
Just to back up what you were saying, they'll also be working during breaks at times, and all workers have IDs on them. So if anyone is questioning, is this a worker with train, or they should have an identification badge on.
Right. That's right. It's not Paul's staff. I mean, these are outside contractors coming in, but
It's just contractor.
Yeah.
right. But it's all being coordinated with you, David, and Paul's team, and Paul. Some of Paul's folks have done some of the work in the past, and right. So it's really again a team effort on Team ICSD Day to get all this done. Hopefully. But it's once you all got started, it's really gone well. It was just trying to get approval through state ed.
The work's
as well.
going to be done faster than the approval process.
Yeah,
Right.
probably so.
Exactly.
Yeah, and just to your point about the knowing who's here and when folks are here, we do have an on-site staff, and all contractors that would be working as part of this project are required to report into us every day before they begin work. We conduct a daily huddle. If the city school district staff is involved in that, so our team conducts the daily huddle with all contractors we bring through the site. We know where they're going to be, what work they're going to do, and that sort of thing. That's all planned out well in advance. And then there's a projection that we provide with the district and collaboration in terms of where folks are going to be even beyond the day for, I think it's a 2-week look ahead now that we're still working on.
That is correct.
Great.
So.
Any other questions? And we'll get further updates as we get closer to the final wrap up. But we appreciate it, Tom.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. And now, Dr. Brown, we get to your favorite people.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. Dr. Landau, you want to come in and frame this instructional conversation we're about to have?
Sure. We had a little glitch in the agenda, and we have two groups of teachers here tonight. We have teachers from Northeast, Karen and Tracy, who are going to talk about human rights work that's happening in Northeast. And we have Rachel and Daphne. Rachel has a district-wide position. She's our autism consultant teacher, and Daphne teaches kindergarten at Caroline. And they're going to talk about some of the work that they're doing in the district. I think the thing that brings these two things together, the reason these teachers were invited to come is Dr. Brown and some board members walked in on a really powerful conversation that was taking place in one of the classes regarding this unit, and so we wanted to kind of share how that's happening at Northeast. There's some powerful conversations happening at Caroline too. These conversations are with students with disabilities that make it difficult to talk, and conversations between those kids and kids who are neurotypical. And so that's part of the work of our autism consultant teacher. So this is all part of the amazing stuff we do. So the first part of this conversation is going to be the Northeast teachers, and then the second part of this is going to be Rachel and Daphne talking about what they're doing. So thank you for kind of working with us on that a little bit.
It's always great to hear.
Thank you.
You got it. Great. Thank you. Thanks for having us. We're glad to be here. Appreciate it. Especially on Team ICSD Day. We were hoping it was okay that we're wearing t-shirts. Less formal. But
We're not formal at all.
right. We just wanted to.
Says the man in the suit and tie.
Yeah.
As I rock my sweatshirt today.
Yes.
I just came from work. What can I do?
So as Dr. Landau mentioned, a few weeks or a few months back, Dr. Brown and Mr. Ainsley were touring our school and got to see some great work in action. And we started to talk a little bit more about what's happening at Northeast in relationship to teaching children about social justice and about student rights, or human rights. As many of you know, Northeast is a wonderfully racially, linguistically, socioeconomically diverse school. And as part of our truly celebrating and affirming that diversity, we also believe that it's really important to teach kids about real issues of social justice and human rights as a part of that. We are also engaged in case study work. For those of you who are maybe unfamiliar with that at home, that is our interdisciplinary approach to curriculum. And so our teachers a couple of our amazing teachers are here to talk about how they have engaged students in really meaningful learning and conversations and experiences, even at very young ages, around real issues of social justice, and particularly in terms of human rights. So I'm going to turn it over to the wonderful Tracy Washburn, first grade teacher, and Karen Arnold, third grade teacher. Okay, Tracy.
Thank you. So the Tompkins County Human Rights Department puts on a human rights art competition, and this kind of sparked our interest in first grade. So we decided to have the students go ahead and do a poster for this art competition about human rights. And so of course we thought it would be a great idea to teach a little bit about human rights. So as the students, we decided to pick about 5 human rights that were kid-friendly. You can go to the next slide, Jen, please. So these are the 5 that we chose, that everyone has the right to health, food, clothing, shelter. Everyone has these rights regardless of whether you're a boy or a girl, skin color, the languages that you speak. We have a lot of different languages at our school, rich or poor. Everyone has a right to education. The law protects everyone equally, and the right to live in freedom and safety. So these, and safety is on a lot of, actually even first graders' minds, even at school. So as we introduce the rights, we kind of throw it out there and have a conversation with the students, and it's really interesting to see what first graders come up with when they think of these rights. So the first thing we actually did was talk about what it even means to be a human, and then what you think a right is. Of course, first grade, the first answers we were getting is your right hand, or you write a letter, so we had to kind of help them along with that one, and then we put them together and introduced each one of them slowly, kind of unpacked what each right means. And then you can see, this is part of the display that we have up in our rooms, that the students are able to do artwork about what they are thinking. Some of them are writing about it. Some of them are just talking and letting us know what they're thinking, and teachers are writing it down. So there's all kinds of different learning going on, trying to hit all of the different learning styles. While we're able to work on all of this, we also we're able to have the students generate different questions of what they wanted to learn more about. And when they generated some questions, we were able to also then have a few community connections, and we invited a judge in. This is one of the ones, I just want to talk about this actually, I do want to back up. No, Jen, you're good, if you change the next one, because this is one of my favorite ones to teach about. I can name ways that students get educated, and so we first talked about what does education mean to a first grader, and of course we learn to read, we learn math, we go to school, all of those things. You send papers home all the time, keep us safe, we take the bus, and we learn about all the different ways that we ensure that every student can get to school. Some of them walk, some of them ride their bikes, and then I can tell what helps me to learn, and that's my favorite conversation of all of them probably, because they actually come up with a lot of great things that help them become better learners in the classroom, and they start to recognize themselves what they need. Some of them need headphones because the classrooms are too noisy, or they get distracted, they need a little office. Some of them chew on things when I'm teaching so that it helps them focus. And they start to recognize those things themselves, and that all of them are different learners. And I think that's really powerful for students to know, that they're all there to learn together, they're all there to help each other, we're there to help them. One of my favorite answers is that one of the students even said, you're here to protect us, and that's absolutely right, to love us and guide us through life. And it's really powerful what the students come up with. And then if you go to the next slide, this is where we've incorporated some of the writing. We talked about how all students, and we talked a lot about the differences with all of the students, that we all have different color eyes, different hair, all of the differences that make us unique and who we are as learners. And then one of my students, pointed out that even if we speak different languages, we're all in the same classroom learning the same things, and I just think that's awesome. And through all of these lessons, we also were able to make some community connections. We asked the judge, Judge Banfield from Lansing, was able to come in and talk to the students and talk a little bit about his job in making sure that everyone has equal rights and what a law actually is and means. Most of the kids think of parents getting pulled over or going through a red light. Lots of conversations about that.
Personal experience, obviously.
Experience. It brought it all home to them, all to real life here. And then we were also able to ask Dr. Brown to come in, who graciously, thank you, accepted and came in. And we had a lot of great questions for him that day. And the students really had a great time with that. We were then able to also, you saw the other writing, but then we were able to incorporate writing thank you letters for these people to come in and take time out of their busy days and busy lives to come and talk to us. So we were able to write thank you letters to them also, which Dr. Brown, yours are on your way. And I'm trying to think, what else did we've also incorporated the art through the competition. Music, our lovely Miss Carla
Notariani.
Thank you, I always call her Miss N, is putting together a poem that the students are coming up with about the rights, and then she's putting music to it, so they're gonna have their own song about human rights that they're gonna create. We're going to hopefully incorporate some technology. We're working with Mike Dingman to try and do Screencastify, that the students will be showing their poster that they've created, and they're going to write an informational writing about the whichever right they choose to tell us about and teach us about. And so then we're going to put that on a Screencastify or an iMovie or something and hopefully share that with more of the community. This also stemmed because you start with building that community just in your classroom at the beginning of the school year, and then it goes to the school building, and then your community where you live in your neighborhood, and then with the election, we even talked about that part of it. And so it's all brought it together for us. And then our school-wide theme of Month of Kindness we did at the beginning of the year, which we're trying to, of course, take it broader and say Year of Kindness. So it's all kind of incorporated nicely for us, and it's flowed together.
First grade.
It's been a lot of fun. It's really great to see what the kids come up with. Okay.
So next slide, please.
That's our competition, sorry. That was from last year.
Okay. It's a little different conversation, Mr. Ainsley and Dr. Brown, that you walked into in the beginning of the year, but we got Google Chromebooks, thank you very much. They're wonderful. We have one-to-one. And one of the things I needed the children to do is get familiar with it. And so I'm using Google Classroom a lot. And one thing that we have done is a Google slideshow. It's called All About Me that I could upload to Google Classroom. Each kid could get their own copy and then work on, there were slides, one thing I like, one thing I dislike, what I want to be when I grow up. And then the last slide, they could say something about themselves. It could be anything. They're learning how to embed photos. The first slide, they learned how to take a picture of themselves, put it in there, and they're rock stars with it. They probably didn't learn it. They probably already knew it before they came in. So I'm probably giving myself too much credit. But this was one thing at home. They share everything with me. Everything's shared. So at home, I can look at their work, which is really nice because I'm just bringing home a laptop. But through 4 boys in my class wrote this, one thing I dislike, princesses. And their response was, 2 of them were working together, but the other ones were separate. I don't like princesses because they're girls. Didn't settle well with me. So I have a couple choices as a teacher. I can go and lecture, and I can say it's our month of kindness, we're upstairs, or I can teach about it. There have been some other things too. A boy in my class who gets picked on because he plays with girls on the playground. There's things like, oh, you can't use pink because you're a boy. So there's other things that are going on in the mix. So, but then when this hit me at home, I thought, all right, time to teach. Not a lot out there, to be honest with you. TeachingTolerance.org was the best place that I found things for 6th to 8th graders. So if you want to turn to the next slide, one of the things that they said on Teaching Tolerance is give them a sheet of paper and just give them girls on one and boys and make them mixed groupings. So boys and girls worked on each one. I put them in small groups and I said, just tell me what you think how girls should be, or girls or boys should be, do, and act. What do we think about that? It was an eye-opener. We as adults would have put this stuff. I never dreamt that. I have 7, 8, 9, and 10-year-olds in my class too. So I have quite a range. But some of the things, I don't know if you can see them, but the girls that came out, the left you'll see, they should be classy. They should be cute. They should be shy. There's active up there. They should like jewelry, they should like clips, they should wear makeup, they should be fancy, they should like singing, they should like cats, boys should like dogs, like pink. But as I said to Lily, it was absolutely a shock. I did not know I was gonna quite get this. Boys, you can see, and again, they're working boys and girls on there. Emotional. Girls are emotional. And one child said emo. You guys are emo. Boys, you see short hair. They need to like danger and violence and destruction. They like to wrestle. Violence. They like guns. No rules. They don't want no rules. Boys don't like rules. Halo. So you get a sort of idea there. So then if you can go to the next slide, I realized after that I did some things on the rug, like stand up if you like to wrestle, and there were girls that stood up. And, stand up if you like this, so just to start to get an idea, and it goes back to what Tracy said, how we come together as a classroom community, similarities, likes, differences. So I read some books along the way, some of the things like My Princess Boy, William's doll, little boy who that's all he wants is a doll, and his father keeps buying basketballs and other things until grandma comes and said, no, he's learning how to be a father. It's okay to be different. I like myself, and there's some others too. So embedded some text in there, some good conversations came along with that. And if you want to switch to the next slide. Before I talk about this, so then I gave the children some opportunities. It was right around Halloween time, so they got some opportunities. We watched a video on YouTube of a little girl who's in, I'm going to assume, like a Target kind of store, and she's in the section. She's probably about 4 years old, and you should watch it. It's pretty good. But she's angry and she's mad. Why do you just do pink toys? Don't you know girls like other things than pink? We like this, we like that. And my kids really got into it, and then we explored Disney movies. And I told them it was okay not to like princesses, and one of the reasons why I don't like princesses because the girls are not always powerful. And then some of the kids said, some of the boys said, well, I don't like it because there's always a happy ending, and that's not real. And so there was so many great conversations. I had drawn a princess, and we just talked about that, like what is it? But you can't say because it's a girl. Give me other reasons why. But you can dislike princesses. I'm okay with that. And then we turned and said, well, why might you like a princess? And one of my little girls said, well, I like Mulan, and I like her because she is active, and so there was really good. I went back to that princess thing, and good news was the boys went and changed their slide on their own without me lecturing them. So then I didn't know. I really honestly didn't know Tracy was doing the Human Rights Project. First grade was, but we got an email from Tompkins County, so I presented with kids. You're doing some really good work. Gender rights and human equality, that's our right, and you guys know about it, and you can choose, not all my kids have, because some were writing to a toy maker. I have a little girl who was writing to a toy maker to tell them what she wants in toys. Other kids that were designing gender-free Halloween costumes, because we looked at that. But then some other children decided to do this. You can do poems, or they can do computer art kind of stuff. So I have only one group of boys, 2 boys working together on that. But anyways, we have some poems, and this is, if girls want to race, they can. Boys want to wear pink, they can. If men want to be a nurse, they can. Let gender rights rule the world. That was one, and we're gonna submit these. I think they're due Friday. So the next slide. Doesn't matter. That's the name of the poem. I have a friend, it is a boy. I don't care if I get teased. He plays with me, he talks with me, he works with me, and he helps me too. He rides the bus with me here and forth. He's my best friend and I am his. We play together when we want. We sit together side by side. He is my best friend anywhere and everywhere. And if you just knew the situation, like it brings tears because this is like powerful. Okay. So the next one. I think that's it. Okay. I did have a video, and it's the video of the little girl that Mr. Ainsley and Dr. Brown came in. And she's mayor of Northeast, and she's wonderful. And
I was intimidated.
She's a beautiful soul, but she said, I said, can I get a video of you? And, I need permission. Oh, you can have any permission you need, it's fine, this is fine. And I do have it on my phone that I could share, but I cannot get uploaded to YouTube. I can't get it to my Google Drive, I can't, but Connie sums it up perfectly. She just says that, human rights and gender equality is building an alliance, that word came from her, building an alliance in friendship, and that it helps us prevent from war and keep peace. And she was more eloquent than I am. I'm not doing her justice, but do I think they totally have gotten it? No, there's definitely some mix-ups about gender equality and how to break it and how not to. And the biggest thing I wanted them to come away with, it holds you back from your dreams. And that was really it, that if you can't be who you need to be, that'll hold you back. And that, some of the boys I think felt bad because they do like destruction and violence. I said, that's fine. But just to know that not everyone does, and they did that standing up. But that's really what it is I don't want them to be held back from their dreams because they are born a boy or born a girl. So, yeah.
Questions for these ladies here? And as I've said the last few board meetings, this is happening throughout the district. Ms. Haynes, this just by chance we happened to walk in on several classrooms, and these were the types of conversations we were hearing. We've been blown away. I'm hearing stuff at home my daughter's talking about. I couldn't imagine how you facilitate those kind of conversations, that kind of thinking, and it's real. And again, I invite each board member to come walk with me. No matter where we go, you'll see this kind of thinking happening in our classroom.
When it comes from the kids and folks.
Yeah.
Sounds like fantastic stuff.
And Heidi, that's so nice to see. How old is Simon?
21.
I was his second and third grade teacher.
Great. Still thinking of it fondly.
Me too.
Sean,
So again, as Doc said, I had the fortune of going around classes and seeing this work, so thank you, and it always brings a smile to see folks engaging in work that is very meaningful. And the quote I'm going to take, we can lecture, but sometimes it's time to teach, right? And so to get busy teaching, so I really appreciate the work you're doing.
And that would have been easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
The hard work is to actually engage, right? Absolutely. Thank you.
outstanding. Anything else before we hear from Caroline? But tremendous job. I was really fortunate. We're always fortunate when we can get out and visit classrooms. And
check out the Northeast Twitter feed today. Your tweets were great. Yeah.
We were busy.
Y'all were busy.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank y'all. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
I just want to provide a quick introduction to this. Rachel Walker is our autism consultant teacher. Sometimes we get the question, what is the district doing to support inclusion? Rachel's position is one of those ways. We don't become a more inclusive district without supporting our staff with skills and changing mindset and changing culture. I want to give credit to Sheila. Sheila developed this position 2 years ago. We used to have a class called the Autism Primary Program. It was housed at BJM. We decided to not have that class anymore. We decided to have those students be in our general education classes. And Rachel's a very talented person. We decided to put her in this consultant teacher position. The last thing I'll say before she starts her talk with Daphne is that sometimes I think we feel that there's 2 or 3 Rachels because she is everywhere in the district. You'll find out she works with our ESP, she works with teachers, she works with bus drivers, she works with principals, and I am shocked by how much she pulls off. So we wanted to do some sort of briefer updates on our inclusion work in the district and for you to hear from the people actually doing the work. So with that introduction, I'll let you all take it from there.
Well, thank you for having us and allowing us to share what we're doing. I can go to the first slide there. So I'm going to spend the first part of this presentation talking about the bulk of my position, but then I'm going to get into talking about some of the projects that I'm working on with other staff members in the district, including Daphne. There are currently 87 students in our district right now that are classified on their IEPs as having autism. That is 12% of the students with disabilities in our district, and that is an increase actually from the 11% last year. In addition to that, there are students classified as having multiple disabilities, as well as having other health impaired that have autism as a part of their disability as well. And then to add to that, there's a lot of students that are displaying similar characteristics that need that type of support as well, that aren't classified. So the bulk of what I do is really supporting these teams that work with these students. There's quite a few of them in the district. These students have brains that function in a different way than ours do. The way they take information in from their environments, as well as the way that they respond to the information in their environment, is very unique. And because of this, there's been a lot of research that has been done on how to effectively work with students that have autism. I've worked through a lot of this research with collaborating with some pretty amazing staff members that I've worked with over the course of the year, through trial and error in the autism programs for 5 years, as well as a lot of the conferences that I've been to and education that I've been fortunate enough to have. My goal is to take this information that I'm getting and really share it across the district so that we can really build capacity in our schools, so that now these people will have these skills to work with these students. That way we're not just housing these students, but we're really creating an environment that is really optimal for their learning. A lot of supporting the teams can be broken down into 4 categories that are here up on these slides. The first of which is the yellow one there, developing tools and techniques. Often I will go into classrooms and I will observe the students that are working and then meet with the teams and talk about how we can either add something like the use of visual supports, or change something like reworking a schedule so that the student is in their best, they're set up for learning, or creating structures. Some of the teams that work with these students are very large. You have your speech, OT, PT, the parents, the teachers, classroom teachers, they get very large. So finding ways to support communication amongst the staff members and the home life is really important. Another piece of it is providing procedural supports. The CSC system, it can be a little bit complicated, and when you have students that are as involved as some of the ones that we're working with, it gets even more complicated. So having some support in how do you do an FBA, a functional behavior assessment, a behavior intervention plan for students that have all these needs. How do you progress monitor effectively and at the same time collect data that is really informative to what's going on. Having this position really helps bridge a little bit between the CSC and the schools, able to help the process be a little bit more efficient, working closely with both sides. The next piece in here is the facilitate sharing of resources. We have a lot of really amazing things happening in our schools. There's quite a few teachers that are doing some amazing things. One of them here today, and these guys here too as well. And so it's really great being in all the different buildings so that I can see those things that are happening and share them across to the different buildings. I also have a wealth of resources that I've gotten from the autism programs. I was in the primary program, but there was an intermediate program. There was a program at the middle school, high school. So having all of that equipment and those pieces that I now have the knowledge of that I can share out as well can be really helpful. And then the last piece is training district staff. We have done trainings with ESPs, with classroom staff, with the bus, he was talking about the transportation system, specialists, really anybody that is working with these students. We work to make sure that they know the basics of what autism is, how having autism really affects them as a learner, and then the strategies that they can use to really help moving forward. So the first project that I'm working on that I'm going to talk about is with the transportation department. There's actually a young man there named Brandon Van Arnberg that is phenomenal in what his initiatives are to really support the transportation system. He came up with these ideas of creating a bus card system. So what his dream for this is to create social stories, which is words paired with pictures that help explain situations to students, especially when they're in a crisis situation. For a student with autism, any change can be a crisis situation. It's very hard for them to deal with that sometimes. So having these visuals there can be really supportive. It also gives the staff the language that they need. On the back of these cards are helpful tips and tools that they can use for handling any other aspect of the situation. I'm actually going to be rolling this out with them in January with some whole transportation department training to show them how to use these. So we're really excited about that piece. Another project that we've been working on, and this is actually with Northeast as well, is setting up a social skills group that kind of has a unique twist to it. So this group will be really working on not only their social skills, but their group engagement skills, which is particularly hard for students with autism. And that would happen once a week. What makes this unique is it provides a platform for some training opportunities. So the idea is that we'll have probably 3 times over the course of the rest of this year, hopefully more moving forward, but this is kind of a trial piece. We'll have staff members come into Northeast for a half-day training. They would meet with me for an hour prior to the group. I would go through some of the tools and techniques that we're going to be using, and then I will use those as I work with these students in these groups so that they get to observe that and watch it happen in real time. Then afterwards, we get to meet and discuss and debrief about what we were doing, and really problem solve around things that went really well and things that didn't, because there will be things that don't go well no matter what information you have. And then also how we can really bring this into their classrooms and what I can do to support that. So I'm excited about this opportunity as well. The next one. This is something that's actually already underway. We had our first meeting at the end of October. It's the Autism Collaborative Community. This was first set up with Jen Gondek, who is a TST BOCES inclusion specialist. Her and Justin DiMatteo, who is a technology inclusion specialist, I believe, for TST BOCES as well. We all got together and we are pulling in different districts across the region into a room to really talk about different topics that have to do with working with students with autism, learn some new things, discuss, reflect, and then really giving them some time to plan how they can take that back and work with the specific students that they're working with in an environment that has a lot of support offered to it. What's really great about this too is this website, which is the second picture over here, that Justin has set up, that I'm really excited about working forward. This website is an opportunity for teachers to write in, ask questions, to have people respond to them about this is what I tried and this worked really well or this didn't work really well. They can post resources that they use that they're excited about. They can also access, we're going to be posting webinars about different topics that we might not have had time to train or work with. And then different articles and things that we find helpful to students. And the goal is for this to be shared across the districts in our region so that we can really get a wealth of knowledge. And I'd love to see this extend to not just classroom staff, but the transportation departments and food service and all the other areas that are in our district. It can just really be a wealth of knowledge. So the last slide. Now this is where Daphne comes in. A piece that I really felt strongly with is working with assistive technology. We have quite a few students with autism that have a difficult time expressing themselves verbally and need the support of something like this. The software that our district uses, I'm definitely is called Proloquo Go. It is a software where you can push different buttons and it combines those buttons together to make a sentence, and then it speaks out that sentence. When students are first starting, which this student is here, they often will just use one button at a time to express a need. But what we were finding is that the students were really using this in speech when they're working with a speech therapist, and then they were using it in the classroom, but when aide or TA or teacher prompted them to do so, or it was set up as like a routine time, and we really wanted them to be communicating with their peers. And so Trish Peterson came in and did she did a tech eval, and she told me that, oh, Rachel, Proloquo Go is incredibly, or not incredibly, but it's expensive, but you can take one copy for a student, one license, and put it on as many devices as that student might need. And so that just opened up this, oh, well, we have all these iPads in the district. So we put it on a bunch of iPads in the classrooms. Then I was able to go into the classrooms and teach the students in the classroom how to use Proloquo Go. So now it's not just one student using it, but it's a model that is being presented to the whole classroom. From here, really, I've given it to the teachers to make it their own and however they use it. And so, Daphne, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you explain how that looks.
Well, one of the main challenges for me this year, which has been a teaching challenge, has been about how I'm in kindergarten. It's all about literacy development, and the student in my class, his name is Evan, and he has autism. He is nonverbal, but he understands language, and he's a reader. I've had the experience of working with him over the summer in 2015 and 2016, and what I really observed from him was that he was very, very resistant in talking on his iPad and wanted to use hand gestures as much as possible to communicate. And then also he was very resistant to peer interaction. So those were the two main goals that we have for him this year. And we talk so much in our class about what communication is in a natural way, just in terms of as we're developing as English language speakers in kindergarten, what communication is and why we do it. And so I felt like this was a perfect opportunity to kind of fold that into our conversation, because we learn about different languages. As we're learning about, we're practicing counting to 10, we're hearing what it sounds like in Spanish, and we're hearing about what it sounds like in German, and I'm exposing them to cultural diversity that way. But it's also getting them to think about how there are many different ways that we communicate. And so this was a perfect opportunity to have another way to teach a new language and for us to all learn the language together. And so Evan really, in a way, was teaching us how he communicates, and then we learned his language through the help of Rachel and these tools. And now what we're doing is we're all talking to one another on Proloquo. And we can also talk in, just regular spoken language, and Evan can respond to us in a more engaged way. So this is an example of kind of like the progression of where we started. Where we started was that no one knew how to talk to Evan, and no one even really knew if Evan understood what they were saying to him. So oftentimes no one would talk to Evan. And then when everyone got a chance to learn how to use Proloquo, Rachel came in and did a couple of whole class activities with my class. And the first day that Evan saw what you see on the Eno board, his face just lit up, and he stood up and he was just like, oh my gosh. And it was really exciting to see because I just felt like we had affirmed him, and it was an example of how the moment that you affirm someone, they begin to be engaged, and he started to engage. And so we then started a conversation station, and Deb Moon, who is the co-teacher, the special ed teacher for my class, had the idea of doing a conversation station during literacy centers. And so we just practiced using Proloquo, which, as you can see, is actually kind of complicated, and it's hard to construct sentences. So we learned how to make sentences and respond to those questions on those tabs and find the answers. And so sometimes Evan was in that group, and sometimes Evan wasn't in that group, but everyone in the class learned how to use it. So that we were also building literacy skills that way, and I actually learned quite a bit about what that is in terms of the idea that you have to teach letter sounds before you learn sight words. And what I actually learned is that in my class this year, that's not the case. I have many children that don't know all their letter sounds, but they can find I and R and is on Proloquo without a problem. So, it's teaching me a lot about how you can blend those two together. And so now we're able to have more informal conversations with Evan, not using the conversation station all the time. And this is an example of a conversation that we have every morning as part of his morning work. We have a conversation, and a student has a conversation with him. So I think the sound is not so great, but I'll let you watch it, and then I might have to do a little bit of voiceover.
You can just explain the question first, okay. That you can. Whoops. Okay, maybe you can.
So the question is, what food do you like? What do you like to eat? So he just said hamburger. So then, and so, but it was cut a little bit. We're actually really trying to work on him building a complete sentence. So he had to go back and actually find, I like to eat hamburgers, and then press play to play the whole sentence, and then Andy was like, oh, you like hamburgers? And he made an eye contact with Andy, which is one of the other goals that we have, is making eye contact. And he said yes, and the way he says yes is by touching his head. So,
exchange, which
yeah,
was really
there was a very clear
Very,
exchange,
yeah.
which is it's a huge moment in a very short time, you know. But for his growth, that is, I was very excited to see that.
And that's the presentation, so if you guys have any questions, please.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
Delver, go ahead.
I don't know how I haven't met you yet, Rachel, but I'm glad to meet you tonight. You clearly, I mean, it's written all over you, right? This is everything that I think everybody here joining this board could see, right? This is a definition of inclusion. And you're sitting there with a rock star, right? But I would like to ask you both, well, maybe not so much Daphne, but you, because you're interacting in different schools and with lots of teachers. This work is going to require clearly a certain type of person on the other end, like Daphne. Right? Let us know what the challenges are that you see, right? That the 9 of us would not normally come in contact with, because, like I said, this is the first time I'm meeting you. So, what are you seeing out there? Are most of the teachers inclined? Do they have the talent? Are they naturally resistant because this is a strange new world? What do you need from us to do better for those 84 children?
Well, it's interesting because last year was a very different position, I feel like, than this year in some ways. Last year it was brand new. Not a lot of people knew about who I was or what I was doing in the district. And there was a lot of reactive work that was happening. So we had teachers that were in states that they were really frustrated. They did not have the tools that they needed or the time to really be able to effectively work with these students in their integrated classrooms. And so they were very eager to have me come into their teams. This year, we kind of flipped it a little bit, and we said, okay, well, let's be a lot more proactive, and let's get me in there from the ground running with a lot of these students that we kind of have flagged as ones that may potentially have a little more difficult time in the classroom. And that's been a little bit more of a challenge, but overall, I'd say I've found that most of the teachers are really welcoming to have me in the classroom, or really working with them. I think one of the biggest challenges is really flipping the perspective of what the behaviors are that students with autism are displaying. So many people think that they're, I don't want to say so, just there are people that really view that as they're doing something bad or wrong, or they're struggling because they're upset, and not understanding what's really happening behind that. And so a lot of the training that we've been doing is really just helping people understand why they're doing the things that they're doing, what's going on with the sensory systems that's completely overloading in a classroom, how difficult is it to communicate. When I go to answer your question, I can just go right to the part of my brain that I need to answer that question. It might be in there for them, but they can't access it always the way that they need to. So giving them that knowledge behind it, what the function of the repetitive behaviors are that they're doing, all of those things, I think really help change the perspective and change how people really want to work with the students. The thing I've been really pleased with is a lot of teachers have approached it from a whole class approach. There's the saying that what works for children with autism works for all children, and so they've been using that in their classrooms, and it's really great to see. So I've been fortunate to work with a lot of really great colleagues.
Yeah, sounds like fantastic stuff, so I'm really excited to hear about it.
Thank you.
I'm curious how the paraprofessional, what the role of the paraprofessional is in this kind of exchange within the classroom and the work you're doing.
The exchange specifically with what?
Well, with that, but in all the classrooms, because a lot of them have one-on-one aids. So where does the how does that?
That expanded team, that is.
Yes. I think, the first part of it is really making sure that that person is a part of the team. Sometimes the team will meet separately or however it is, but bringing them in. I think my position in that way is actually really helpful to ESPs because I have a lot of flexibility. Special education teachers are really held to their IEPs and I need to be in here for 2 hours and it's this 2 hours of the day, it's not this 2 hours of the day. Or the speech therapist is in there, 30 minutes and then they're out. Sheila has been phenomenal with working with my schedule to make sure that I have that flexibility too. If this is a problem area, I'm gonna be in there at that time. And so I can work with those the ESPs and really support them in that way. I do feel like they need a lot of support. It's hard when you have a student that needs full day programming but is only having staff members there for certain hours of the day that are additional support to a classroom teacher. A lot falls on them. It really does. So it's going to be support.
Other questions, comments?
Ms. Ames, if I could, just for a second, if I can take on the role of Dr. McGravel and be the historian for a second. Going back 6 years was the first time we did one of these instructional work sessions like this. And that first one, I remember it was Liddy Coyle and Lee Genenthal sitting there as teachers on special assignment. And at that time, we were talking about the district's work and approach to instruction, and they were describing the PD around the word engage and then the level of thinking. And we did a summer's worth of work on just defining the different levels of engagement and the difference between strategic compliance and engagement, and then how to get young people to think. And so we spent a lot of time there. And then as I'm thinking about going back through all the years of these work sessions, we've had conversations with the board around instruction and coaching, assessment, and now this. I mean, you're getting 6 years worth of hard work. And it's resulting in now, not only are we having young people think in this way, work in this way, engage in this way, but now it's for everyone. So I just want to thank the community and the board for your support. I mean, I'm just thinking about the many, many hours and hundreds of thousands of dollars of PD that's led to this. The flexibility to allow me and my team to be flexible with staffing, and Lily was a teacher on special assignment at that time, but now she was in infield in the first grade classroom. And Mary, you were, I'm not even tell people where you were at that time, but you allowed a community to find some of the best instructional thinking in the country, bring them together on one team, and then evolve work from just putting together a teaching and learning framework, which was a 10-page document. When folks asked me as superintendent coming in, put together your pacing guides and curriculum guides, and pull down the modules off the Engage New York, which was being built at that time. And we said no, and we spent time building that document and working with educators to figure out how we're going to teach kids to think, embed that in our work, and talk about the levels of engagement. And now today, to see it happening like this brings joy to my heart. But it also affirms 6 years worth of work from some hard-working educators, so thank you.
I have another question about how, I know in certain instances of children with learning challenges, we've decided not to test them to a certain grade, which it's not, our reasons are sound, but in some cases I imagine that costs us, right? With dyslexia, for example, or some other learning challenges. How do we come to know about autism here? Do we test for that before third grade? Do we rely on parents and their physicians? How does someone enter your world?
Well, I believe it's a combination of things, and it depends on the parents. There are kids that are identified as early as age 2, sometimes younger, through assessments that the parents have been taking students to the doctor. So there are those students that come in that are already identified as having autism. But then it's the classroom teams and working through the RTI process and bringing those students to the CSC committee. And then in that committee, they can get the school diagnosis of autism through that. It's challenging because with the nonverbal component, the typical standardized tests that we would do are not as applicable. And so that can be really challenging to get the information that you need. A lot of it is self-reporting by parents and staff that work with these students. There is an assessment that we recently acquired, which is really great and has been helpful in a lot of different areas. It's called the VB Map. We only have one copy of it, so I use it all around the district, but it really looks at those base skills in a different way and is used as a progress monitoring tool versus just giving you a standardized score. That assessment really does kind of give you that, like, where are we, where's the growth happening, what do we need to keep working on? And so assessments are a challenging piece, but I think with the knowledge that's coming out into the community, it's being identified a lot earlier and earlier. And there's a ton of research that shows that if you can catch it early and you can work on it earlier, that there's a better chance of success in the future. So that is important.
Any other questions, comments right now? Thank you all for spending part of your evening with us. We have communicated with the administrative team over and over.
That was great.
Thank you. Outstanding job.
And you guys are welcome. You guys are welcome to come and observe any pieces if you want to. Just let us know. Sheila knows, she'll tell me, and we'll.
Tremendous job. Thank you, Rick. Thanks, Deb. We do have a few, two more items, I believe. David Hanno, do you want to just step up for a minute? Once again, David, if we build it, they will come.
Exactly. So, here to propose that we merge with the Montessori school. They had approached us about merging at the modified level for both alpine skiing and indoor track. The numbers, as it stands right now, the first practice was today. Dryland practice, as they call it, for alpine skiing. So the numbers for Montessori school would be about 5 children. For the indoor track, propose 1 at this point. We may get more, maybe get 1 or 2 more after basketball tryouts. At present, that's the number we have.
Maybe I'm ill-informed or getting old or it's late or whatever, but tell me why would there be a Montessori student on varsity alpine skiing?
No, it's modified. It's a modified level. These are all modified.
But it says modified and varsity alpine skiing on the agenda. I just want to make sure. We're talking about modified alpine skiing.
Yeah, that's either my mistake or that's just a mistake. Yeah, it should only be modified. Yep.
Right, since they have no children of age to be on varsity, correct? And Montessori, right?
They come to us
right.
in the high school. Yeah, so that's just modified.
I'll move the merger with BAC Montessori for modified indoor track and alpine skiing.
Second.
Laura, any question, Chris?
Should we change the verbiage?
I did.
Oh, we did? Okay.
And that was not the language of the, right, that was not the language of the motion.
And I've got the merger application that speaks
To modify it to spell.
And I learned that we formed this alpine skiing team 2 weeks ago when I wasn't here. So.
Well,
So I'm not
we waited for you to be gone, Pat, and we're like, look, Pat's not here. Let's sneak in alpine skiing while we can.
Alpine skiing, what's wrong with downhill skiing?
I just want to remind folks, and David, you can speak as well, right? Whenever we do these mergers, we have some criteria that we set in place. One of which is no-cut sports for the most part. So we're talking about here both these situations, right? Indoor track and alpine skiing.
That's correct. If there's any margin where it is a cut sport and we don't know numbers, then the 1 or 2 children is very clear from their administration, from us, that their child may get cut if numbers. But these are non-cut sports where their participation won't displace any of our students.
And Pat, we are looking at adding some medieval sporting events. I was thinking, Johnson, but horses are a little hard to, but there are others.
Fencing is a highly critical sport.
It is, fencing, there you go. Any?
We're staying close.
I think, I don't think there's too many objections, but all in favor? That will be everyone, and Albert is here as well. And one more item. Thank you, David. We're good. Great. And I guess we are looking to adopt a budget calendar, if we did already.
Yes, no, we didn't. It's a draft. I'll move adoption of the budget calendar that you see in front of you. For docs.
It was discussed at 10 or 11 o'clock last night at the finance meeting, right?
It was big last night, but yes, we did discuss it.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Pat, that's great. Were there any adjustments or changes from last night, from that printed piece that I did have until I left and discussed at one point?
No, we did not make any
All right.
changes, but it does, I mean, for the community, it lays out the various dates, has all the finance committee meetings on there, shows what items we're going to concentrate on in a particular meeting.
Right, that's a part of the calendar.
Part of the calendar.
It's right there, so folks, if they have an interest in one part of the budget or another, or pre-K or whatever, it will be on the docket during those meetings.
Exactly.
Which is typically on those off Tuesdays.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Questions, anything?
Real quick. The Budget Advisory Committee, this is reforming, been meeting.
Dr. Brown's had a budget.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Committee. We've had it consistently.
Yeah.
In a minute.
And we do meet, and you know, and outside of this calendar, we do meet with many other groups who, PTAs and others who ask us to come in and talk about the budget. I mean, we do quite a bit of that as well.
Very good. Anything else? It will be posted, and it certainly will be followed closely over the next matter of months. Moved, seconded by Pat. All in favor? That is everyone. And wrapping up, Dr. Brown, any other business?
No.
Dates of importance?
Saturday will be Town Gown Awards here at Culp Auditorium.
Yeah.
We can that annually. I think it begins at
9:30.
9:30.
9:30?
I'm not sure. I will send that out to you. It's between 9 and 9:30.
Will the new president be here?
Oh, I'm unsure. But I know that we will have a special recognition for President Ball.
She's still in Michigan until January, so, April.
Yeah.
No, she's in Michigan till January, and then she has a gap before she
Right.
comes here.
Right.
Yeah, I think she's going to be back and forth a bit.
Yeah.
But congratulations to Cornell for ending their search, and they can move on, and we'll see, and we shall see. So anything else? The calendar is listed, committee meetings, etc. Anything else for the good of the group?
Can I just note that there are no policies for consideration tonight? You're welcome.
Is that an indication of how many policy committee has gotten through, or is it there's just no policies?
No, that's completely due to our due diligence of making sure every word has been wordsmithed.
That's right.
How's that, Pat?
All right.
Right,
You're sticking with it.
and every mark of punctuation.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Thanks more for your.
Strike that comma.
We
We did have a robust conversation about colon versus semicolon usage. That's a true story.
And I missed it.
Yes.
That's right. Sorry, Griffin.
Almost all of our conversations, Brett.
Wow.
Yep.
But yes.
It was serious,
Just,
Rob.
Break it down, Rob.
It was serious. David was there. It was serious. It was serious.
It's one of those, that's too bad, I missed it. So, Dr. Brown, but once again, Dr. Brown, our best board meetings are when we get to hear from staff and about what's going on in classrooms, and so thanks again for staff taking time to see us tonight. Really outstanding work going on every day in the district, and a great Team ICSD day, and thanks everybody, and we're done. Without objection, we're done. Okay.